Hello, my name's Malcolm Graham. I'm a local historian and I've studied the history of the covered market over many years. The market was founded in the 1770s. It was part of a sort of massive improvement campaign in Oxford, which was the consequence of an Oxford Improvement Act passed in 1771, which had been sought by both town and gown. It was a rare at the time where university and city worked together to achieve improvements. They included sort of massive rebuildings, pulling down of old structures like the East and North Gate, the rebuilding of Magdalen Bridge, but also the clearing away of all the stalls that used to gather around Carfax. Oxford never had a sort of big marketplace, and so on market days the streets were just crowded out with stalls, people, carts and manure. So it was pretty unpleasant and it interfered with the passage of traffic. And so a market committee, 6 university members, 6 councillors were set up in 1771 and they began work on creating this covered market. The market as it originally was configured was different from today. We're actually standing in the equivalent of the original central avenue. The market was quite a bit narrower than it is today. The market committee acquired a big block of property, most of it from University College, which extended from High Street right through to what was then Jesus College Lane, and cleared the whole site. And then, to the designs of an architect called John Gwynn, they designed the buildings on the front. But within that, you had the new market laid out to Gwynn's design, with stone foundations, timber, stalls, stone-seal slated roof, and nice ornamental turret built by a local carpenter at the upper end. There was a beadle who looked after the market, and he rang a bell to say when the market was opening and shutting. Partly this market opened in 1773. It fully opened in December 1774. Well, the market was a success from the start, and there was lots of sort of open space in it, which began to fill up with sheds and stalls and what were called cubs, which I presume are small cupboards for tradesmen from outside, country tradesmen, sometimes called foreigners, who were not freemen of the city. So by the 1820s, the market was pretty crowded, and there ensues a sort of long spell of negotiation with the man who owned the land we're standing on now, just to the west of the original market, a man called Edward Latimer, a wine merchant. He offered to sell the land to the committee, but they didn't like his price. And there are several exchanges of correspondence about this. They get a new Act of Parliament giving them compulsory purchase powers. They still don't like his price, but eventually they settle with him in 1838. And it's only the sort of back part of his premises that they buy. And Thomas Wyatt comes up with a scheme for the new market, which is sort of on the northwest corner of the old 18th century market. You can still see some of the pillars, some of the ironwork, but unfortunately the original iron roof, which got frozen up on the way from London coming up the Thames in the winter of 1839-40, has been replaced long since. So in 1840 at last, we have this partial expansion of the covered market, which serves what was still, a growing city. By the end of the 19th century, the market was very much as it is today, although clearly there have been changes to the stalls. It was always known as the meat market because butchers were very much in the majority. But there were lots of other traders also selling fruit and veg and fish, cheese. But you begin by the end of the 19th century to get cafes coming in. So it does begin to change, even early in the 20th century. And throughout the sort of interwar years, I guess, as Oxford becomes much bigger, it goes on flourishing because there's still a sort of big population in the centre of Oxford. And there isn't the sort of huge development of retail food stores that we've seen more recently. It was, however, perceived as old-fashioned, and when the city's planning consultant, Thomas Sharp, at the end of the war produces his great Oxford replanned document, his suggestion was to knock this all down and to shift it down into St Ebbe's to a sort of new market hall. So after the war, you get the sort of gradual change that Oxford's still expanding. Any attempt that the market had to sort of insist that you shopped here for meat had long been abandoned. And so its use has changed as the growth of tourism has impacted on Oxford. So the market is coming up to its 250th birthday in the 2020s. And so it's obviously changed a lot physically in the time since the 1770s. What it sells is very different. The people who use it are very different. I mean, you didn't get many international visitors in the 1770s probably. But who knows how it will change in the next 250 years.